Parental fatigue, burnout. If you're feeling this, we get it. But there's one thing we use when we're feeling depleted. It's called Rehydrate. Delicious electrolytes that increase blood flow to your brain, organs, and nervous system, boosting your energy without anything nasty. Magic.
Next time you're feeling flat, give Rehydrate a go. Available at Coles.
This is the Happy Families podcast with Dr. Justin Coulson. We're Luke and Susie, and this is the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I'm going to give him credit in this story. He was stepping in to step up and contribute in ways which weren't normal for him because he saw a need and wanted to be helpful. So let's start with that rather than the problem of the domestic challenge nature.
Well, look, I've actually gotten in trouble for saying that I was helping my wife by doing the laundry because apparently I'm not supposed to help. I'm just supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But you know, regardless of whatever position you're coming from, we have a division of labour in our home, and I was doing stuff that wasn't part of what I normally do. I was doing the clothes washing because Kylie, my wife, was expecting one of our children and she was tired and over it, frankly. And I thought, well, I can do this.
So about 8 months, yep.
Yeah. So I started loading up the clothes washer. What do you call that? That's what it's called. The washing machine. Thank you. Oh, dear. You can see where this is going already.
Yeah. The clothes cleaning machine.
That's right. Stop picking on me, all right? Just doing my best.
I think we've only just started.
And I did a good job. Like, I separated the whites from the darks. And because we have so many daughters, 6 girls. At the time we didn't have 6, but nothing but girls. Yeah. We've got a whites pile, a pinks pile, and a darks pile. And I don't know which one it was, mate. Let's say I threw all the darks in, and I just jammed it all in there so I could get it all done in one load because. By jingoes, I wasn't doing 2 loads of this. And when I started to hang the washing an hour and a half later or whatever it was, I noticed that a lot of the clothing still appeared dirty. In fact, some of it looked dirtier than it was when it went in. And so I started perusing the white goods catalogue for the local retailer.
I love this because his instant thought was, clearly the clothes cleaning machine is broken.
And I can fix this.
Yeah.
I'll buy a new one.
A new one.
That's right.
Yes.
I'll buy one with bigger capacity perhaps.
I like that. That's solutions focused.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And Kylie noticed my interest in the catalogue and asked what I was doing, and I explained what had happened. And it was at that point that I learned a really important lesson, not just for cleaning clothes in one of these magnificent machines, but for life. When you stuff too much in, you get suboptimal outcomes. Kylie had a look at how many items of clothes. I had almost put 3 loads of washing through in one load. And so obviously the machine just couldn't cope and it didn't do it. Yeah. But
it's not like the wheelie bin just before collection day. You just down, squash it down.
Yeah. You start walking up and down the neighbourhood street at 2 in the morning hoping no one discovers you. And so I think that there's a really important life lesson here for families, for parents, and that is that when we stuff too much in, we get lousy outcomes. Our children need to have a life. They need to have a childhood. They need to be allowed to breathe. A recent study just published in the last very, very recent past showed that if we can have some silence every day, 10 minutes at a minimum, 2 hours would be ideal. And I know that's not really realistic, but our brain responds so well to just having that downtime. But we're so busy stuffing stuff in with the kids, with their extracurricular, and we've got so much on our plates, and we still want to have a little bit of time to watch our favourite ridiculous television show at 8 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night or whatever once the kids, or we're on our Netflix catching up on our serials or whatever it is. We just try to stuff too much in.
The thing though, when I look at that and I think about, we go karate and we've got rugby and we've got training and then we've got all these different things that we're gonna do, and if we don't do it, if we cull them back, then we don't get these years of their life back where they get to develop and learn new skills and try new things. This time disappears, so we're trying to fit more in for their life skills. And I can see why the busyness can interrupt with this, but where's the line between this, the space now and the options later?
It's a really fine line because we want our children to have those experiences and develop those skills. We've made a decision in our family, and it's not for every family, and I'm not suggesting that others should do it. I'm simply using it as an example that our kids don't play Saturday sport. We have one at the moment who is playing, and it causes some disruption. But we want to have our Super Saturdays.
Yeah.
And so our Saturdays are kind of a sacred day for us where it's just absolutely family time. And let me tell you, recently, in the middle of winter, we're now living in Brisbane. We jumped in the car at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Asked me how happy the children were to get out of bed at 6 a.m. on
Happy with the kids
on
to
a
get
winter's morning. And we drove down to Burleigh Heads, and we jumped out of the car and we walked over the headland. And, you know, it's just magic up there. It was the most beautiful day. And then
Would have
we
been
walked.
whale season too.
We didn't see any whales, but golly, it was gorgeous. And we got back down to the base where the surf club is, and we had some brekkie on the beach. And then we walked from Burleigh to North Burleigh. Well, my wife and I, Kylie and I, walked, but the kids, they just, because it's Queensland, right? I know it's the middle of winter, but the kids swam. They walked in the water, knee deep, waist deep, all the way up. They just had such a great time. It took us 4 hours to do the walk, and we still managed to get our other daughter to sport in time and all that sort of thing. But when we slowed down, the whole family just came together.
Yeah.
Everybody felt so good. I've spoken to another family who decided to take on this advice, and they came back to me and they said, we've just started saying things like, no, we're going to be busy on that Friday night. We'd love to attend, but we won't be able to be there.
Yeah.
They've just started saying no to things.
Yeah.
They've stopped stuffing so much in, and it's given them what I call margin in their life. And they're getting to have some interesting conversations with their children and wonderful experiences that build relationships with their children and bond their families stronger. Makes such a difference.
Yeah,
much better
beautiful.
result than being able to say, my daughter has, her grade 8 piano,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. But what would you rather? A daughter who's got grade 8 piano, or a daughter who, and I'm not saying they're mutually exclusive, but if we push too hard, sometimes the relationships suffer so that we can give them those skills.
Yeah, it's harder to make the other parents feel like they're inadequate as parents if, like, without quoting the grade 8, like the achievements of our children. We need that to make other parents feel like we're better than them.
That's right. Yeah.
It is hard with multiple children too, because I know, we've invested in. Our boys all do rugby, and we love the Saturday morning sport because for us it's over and done with by 9:30 in the morning. So we've still got the whole day.
Yeah, great.
But we've got our energy by that point. So,
And you've got a tradition for your family.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that you need to do it my way. I'm glad that you've pointed that out.
Yeah, but then, one of our other sons does karate, but I recognise, but that sort of takes up most of our school afternoons then, plus then the Saturday morning. I noticed there's another son of mine who's got some skills that I think he'd be great at, maybe dancing, maybe gymnastics, but he's physically different to his brothers. But we don't have the time to invest in him because of what's being invested in another child. So I like that idea of, you know what, let's start saying no to some stuff, figure out what's important. Is it, I don't know. I don't know what the answers
Who'd have
are.
thought one size doesn't fit all, Suze?
It doesn't.
This whole thing, like, let's take it away from parenting. This is something that I understood in my office space. That in a culture and a team environment, you had some people come in and go, it's got to be head down, bum up. You've got to constantly be working the entire time. And what I knew was that at the end of the day, I had really poor performers, if that was the culture. Or I had other managers from other departments go, your guys are just looking at Facebook and they're laughing and joking and they're not working and they're standing in the hallways. I went, yeah, but that's where some of their best stuff comes out of. That's where their magic comes, because they're having fun and they're not, they know that they can take a few minutes and just go look at something else. It's different because we were a creative environment in a radio station. But at the same point, like, what it built was culture, what it built was relationships. And after 10 years, that team that was only looking at Facebook are still working those jobs and are the most tight-knit team that I've ever seen in the radio industry. And it came from those, I talked about the inefficiency of relationship is what I'd always talk about. You can't bond efficiently.
It's so funny that you said that, because there was a line in my head that I was going to use, and you've just you've given me the opposite of the line. What I was going to say is, we're so intensely focused on maximizing every moment, but relationships don't work on the principles of efficiency.
Yeah.
It's precisely what I was going to say. You've just spun it in the other way. Relationships don't work. You can't say to your kids, okay, kids, we have 7.5 minutes between the garage and football training. What's on your mind?
Yeah, no, that's
Yes.
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because you would say to me, like in particular, and because it was almost like I felt like she was doing me a favour when she would take the kids in for bedtime every night while I was doing something else. I'm sorry, like, if you want me to do it instead. She goes, no, it's actually my favourite time. Because she goes and she sits in the room and there's quiet and there's no agenda and there's nowhere to be. And then suddenly they start talking to her.
Yeah.
And telling her things about the day that they never once responded with, how was your day? What happened at school? What's going on?
Yeah.
It just burst out in space.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. Slow down.
Yeah.
Yes, I found the other day my son told me something about we were in the middle of doing stuff. He told me about a fight he'd had with one of his friends, and he said he's not going to talk to me for the rest of the year. And I said, well, that's going to be very quiet then, isn't it? And we were in the middle, and I was so busy reacting to this, just trying to say something just to get us out to the car so that we could keep doing what we had to do. It was a couple of hours later, in the quiet of night, that I called him in and I said, you know what, that must have really hurt your feelings when your friend said that he doesn't want to talk to you for the rest of the year. And all this other stuff came out. And I realised in that moment, how many times have I just dismissed these little things, trying to get everything else done, that I've dismissed these golden little moments where your child is trying to let you in, and not really given it the response and the time that he needs. And I feel like I've missed so much conversation with my child and learning about his life because I've been dismissive, because I've been busy.
It's one of those things where, if we could just get that conversation right when the kids come in the door and we say, how was your day? And they say, And sometimes we get cranky about that. But think about it. When you walk in at the end of your day and your significant other says, how was your day? Do you say, well, I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you about this. And we don't do that. We're like, oh. But once we're laying down, once we're in bed, once the kids are in bed, once we're in the car, once we've gone for a walk in nature, once we've done something, once we're at the table, the conversation starts to flow. Relationships aren't about efficiency, they're about time. Slow down. Stop stuffing so
Beautiful.
much in.
Love it.
Wonderful. I'm glad we took some time to capture that moment. Now we've got to go, Justin. Quick. Hey, and before we wrap things up, let's all remember, Justin didn't know how to use the washing machine.
The clothes cleaning machine.
Dr. Justin Coulson, thank you so much for your time.
I hope that's not all you take out of this guy. I'm sharing, I'm bearing my soul here.
It's not all we take, but it's enough. It's enough.
For more info on all of Justin's books, podcasts and programs, you can jump online to happyfamilies.com.au, and to find out how to have Justin speak at your school, or he can come along to your organisation as well, go to justincoulson.com.